good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure for me being here with you. I want to start by apologizing for not being there in person, but unfortunately I got COVID, as many people in this specific period of time. So I'm, self-isolating. I will be in isolation until the end of this week. So this is the only way I could actually do this lecture. I'm fine. As you can see, I have very little symptoms, but this is the reason why I'm not there with you. I also wanted to say thank you to Professor Ubertazzi before starting for giving me this great opportunity. I have been following the lectures, classes, and the other speakers. I think that overall, I mean, it's a very, very well done course. High-level speakers, so I'm very, very grateful that I have the opportunity of being part of this project. So today, as Professor Ubertazzi has already said, we will speak about this working agreement between the EPPO and the European Commission. Next slide, please. Thank you very much. So all of us have been talking about the EPPO for quite some time by now. So I'm assuming that everyone is already very familiar with the purpose of the EPPO and the reason why this new institution was recently set up. As Professor Ubertazzi just reminded us, the main purpose of the EPPO is to fight criminal offenses against EU's financial interest. So here it is very well explained in the EPPO regulation. And here, well, I decided just to give you a screenshot of Article 4 of the so-called EPPO regulation to remind you what the tasks of EPPO are. So the first question that may come to mind is why EPPO needs to have a working arrangement, a working agreement with the European Commission. You know, considering the task of EPPO, it might not seem so evident the reason why these two institutions need to work closely, need to work together. So it is very evident why EPPO has to have an agreement with Olaf. It might not be as immediate to why EPPO has to have a working agreement, a working arrangement with the European Commission. So this is the first question one has to ask. Next slide, please. The reason is because the European Commission has a primary role in anything that really anything that has to do with the European Union budget. So if you take a look at the Treaty on the Functioning of the European Union, Articles 313, 316, where you find the proceeding for the approval of the annual budget of the European Union, you will see that the European Commission is involved in the drafting of the project of the European Union budget. So it does have a role starting from the very beginning, from the very conception of the European Union budget. And considering that, of course, the European Union budget is the core, well, I mean, it's what needs to be protected by the EPPO, it becomes much more evident why there needs to be a link between these two institutions. But most importantly, the European Commission is the institution in charge of the implementation of the European Union budget, as it is explained in Article 317 of the Treaty on the Functioning of the European Union, which you can find on the slides. So I think it is pretty self-explanatory. Article 317 tells us that the Commission shall implement the budget in cooperation with the member states on its own responsibility and within the limits of the appropriations, having regard to the principle of sound financial management, so on and so forth. So the European Commission is the institution that manages the money of the European Union.